Three, two, one, roll the footage. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Strategy Show. I'm your host, Simon Severino. Today, this episode is brought to you by the Strategy Sprints. At Strategy Sprints, we do only one thing, strategy in sprints. Strategy means more revenue, more reliable, more predictable. In sprints means doing it in a way that you have more and more energy for the next sprint. Today, we have LinkedIn expert, sales transformation expert, best-selling author, co-founder of Vengreso, Viveka Von Rosen.
Thank you, Simon. And I will say this is the first interview I've actually done from my bed.
We are in her bed right now, people.
You are in bed with me right now, people.
You have a lot of people in your bed right now.
I know. Hey, I'm all about transformation.
It's all about the transformation. We will explore.
It's all about
We will explore how your brand and your audience can have a better fit, how to make the most out of your current content, and how to do networking in the digital world, and all of this from the bed of Viveka. Super cool.
Thank you, Simon.
Viveka, what are you currently creating?
We obviously everyone is doing a lot of pivoting right now. And so interestingly enough, one of the trainings that we did prior to the COVID and everything that's going on, the pandemic, was selling with video. Ironically, that was our only course that we did solely face-to-face, selling with video, and we taught it face-to-face. So while we've been doing selling with LinkedIn and selling with Sales Navigator, and a lot of training around sales enablement with LinkedIn and other social channels. The video one was, kind of our favorite, but we would have to fly out to see the client and teach and train them there. So we've had to take that whole thing and put it online. And we've just run through our first pilot fully online, and it was so incredibly successful. And it was interesting because we ran the pilot with an insurance company, and their success is insurance, right? And so that's not the sexiest, most exciting industry necessarily. And yet this company and the people who went through our program, just jumped into the program 100%. And it was so cool to see them using video messaging and video email, and their response rates were unbelievable. They had almost a 70 to 80% open rate as compared to usual email open rate from an insurance person is what 2%. So it's been really exciting to be able to pivot that, to start crafting that new program and really seeing such incredible results and doing it all within a matter of a few months. That's the thing, right? We've had to learn how to create and deliver in weeks and months as compared to where we used to maybe have a year to develop and deliver a program.
And how did you do that? I'm super curious.
We were fortunate. We did have the outline of the program already, because we were delivering it in real face-to-face. What is that called? I don't even know what it's called anymore. Virtual. But we had the outline of the program, which helped immensely. However, we did have to do a lot of adoption of it. Myself and our CEO, Mario Martinez at our company, we developed our previous two programs. And so it was early mornings and late nights and weekends, and we just jumped in. We ran through every PowerPoint presentation we had. We transformed those live events and figured out how to use Zoom and break out into different rooms. And we just learned how to create a program that was still alive. But it was a lot of early nights and early mornings and late nights.
Wow.
But you do what
And
you got to do, right?
yes. And what is now specifically working so well in the new video program?
Yeah, I think it's because we are so desperate for face to face, right? That's why we're having this interview right now. It's we're desperate to see people's faces and to get a sense of who they are. And because field reps anymore, they can't go out. Anyone really, you can't really go out and meet across dinner like we used to. The conferences, all of my conferences are now virtual. Everything for the rest of the year has been turned into virtual or postponed till next year. And so we're just, I think, desperate for that human connection that we used to have. And so the ability to use video to be able to, kind of reach out and touch someone, as it were, and get yourself across and your personality across. And I think why we were so successful is, number one, a lot of people are still afraid of video, right? The idea of being on Zoom or being on another platform and actually turning that camera on is terrifying to some people. So the way our Selling with Video program is created, it's, we don't talk about technology until later on, because the technology's that's the easy part, right? We talk about what it takes to be, charismatic on camera, what it takes to be engaging on camera. How do you hold people's attention? How do you use your voice modulation? How do you use your hand gestures? How do you use your smile? And all of those things that help to pull your audience or your prospect in. Because in realistically, like, my camera's 2 feet from me, your camera's probably 2 feet from you, so theoretically we are actually in each other's personal space, much more so than if we were at a conference and you were on stage or I was on stage. And so we get to pull in that personal interaction. And so that's really what we teach people. We feed, we work with our teams to figure out what it is that they need to share. We write scripts for them. We teach on a platform called One Mob. Of course, there's Hippo and BombBomb and Videolicious. There's a lot of good video platforms out there. We use One Mob because they have really cool landing pages. So I can not only say, hi, how are you, but, check out these free resources below. So there's a lot that you can do there, and green screens. And although I've just got my bed right now, but although I noticed my shirt is a green screen, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it has a lot of
Yeah.
blue shade. Nice.
I've got my shirt on as a green screen, note to self. But so all of that allows people who are maybe not comfortable with video. There we go. It
You're
looks like
back.
I dropped off.
You're back.
I'm back. Because we don't know how long this is going to last. And so if our only interaction with our clients and with our prospects is going to be through video, then we've got to learn how to use it correctly. So
Yeah,
that's
and
been
that's
exciting.
cool. And that's a tough decision, because many say,
Yeah.
okay, it's just a couple of months
Yeah,
and then everything will get back to normal. And other people say, no, this is the normal now. It will come and go in
exactly.
waves. So I gotta embrace this and this. And how do you solve this situation?
Well, the thing is, it's a skill set that you can use forever. So I'm really hoping we're all back in the field and at conferences and meeting with our clients across, Starbucks or dinner or on the golf course or whatever we used to do, right? So I'm certainly hoping that will be the situation for us in the next 3 to 6 months. We don't know. Um, Even if it's tomorrow, skill sets that you can learn with Selling with Video, you can absolutely use, because even once you meet on the golf course or meet for dinner or meet at a trade show, you still want to follow up with that individual, and doing it through video is still relatively unusual. Most people are not doing it. Sending or responding to a LinkedIn invitation with a video message. All of those things are new. And so the ability to do that, you'll actually be able to pull in post-pandemic and still be super effective with it, I think.
Cool. Let's go into your first CEO tip that you have for us. The fit between brand and audience. How can that
Yeah.
get better?
Yeah. So when it comes to, and of course, we're very LinkedIn centric, but choose the social platform of your choice. It applies across all of them, whether it's, via Deo or Facebook or Instagram. Okay, maybe not TikTok, but but across all the
Why not?
social, yeah, I guess it could be, right? Um, there are some people using TikTok really effectively. So you want to make sure that your brand matches your audience. And I think one big mistake that people make on social is, first of all, you have companies that have a barely there presence, and with company pages and things like that. It doesn't take that long, and it can make your company look really bad to have no presence there whatsoever. Take it to the next level. First of all, you don't know how your employees are going to show up in a search. Like, it would be ideal if it was just our salespeople and maybe our marketers who showed up when people did a search on our company or on our keywords. But truly, it could be the person in the back office who shows up. So you need to make sure that your brand is dusted across your entire employee base, in our case on LinkedIn, so that when people do a search on Google or on LinkedIn and your company shows up or someone in your company shows up, that it's representing your company the right way. And of course, your employees in their own profile, you can't force them to do anything. But once you show them that a powerful profile is only going to help them, is only going to help the company, is only going to help create a stronger brand for your company, and build that KLT, that know, like, and trust factor. That's where people are really kind of missing the mark, in that if they're lucky if they have their sales team, with customized profiles, so that alignment of brand and business. And then the most important thing is make sure you're speaking to the right audience. So that's another big place where people miss the mark, is they try to be too much to too many people, or a lot of people's sales, or a lot of people's profiles are just resumes, right? They're just, think about the last time you went into LinkedIn and uploaded your profile. Is it just a resume? And so that's one of the things that we want to be really sure of, is that our profile is a resource, and that we're speaking to our buyer, because quite frankly, they don't care about us, right? They don't care about us or what we do until they've decided on us. So it's okay to our experience, you should do that. But the kind of the top of the fold of your profile should absolutely be focused on your buyer, and what are their points of pain, and what are their needs, and how can we serve them.
I regularly go over our LinkedIn profiles and find always something that is not around the customer. I always find
Yeah.
something, but if you really try and be on the other side and you know nothing and you see this for the
Yeah.
first time, do you really get what the essence is? Do you really get what's in it for you? And I always
And or
find something which is just around us and
yeah.
what we have to offer, but not around the client. It's a great exercise.
Yeah, it really is, because they just don't care about who you are. And it was funny, we were working with a prospect, and they said, "Oh, our social is great. We don't need you. Our social is great." So we did it. It took us no less than 5 minutes, and we did a scan of their sellers. One guy had a skull and crossbones on his background image, which, you know, I don't know that that's the best. The other guy had a whole, in the President's Club, quota crushing sales guy, and it was like, it was just such a perfect example of an icky salesperson, right? Like exactly the person you do not want to work with. And the third person that we found still had their old job at Google in there, which was completely different than what they were doing right now. So we're like, are you sure? Are you sure that you're representing and that your folks are representing your company the right way? So you just got to make sure.
Beautiful. What are two books that inspire you?
So I mentioned earlier KLT Factor, and way before I even got into social media, one of the business books that I was using with my clients was Bob Berg's The Go-Giver. And so we're talking like, what, 2005, 2006, now the book's like 15, 16 years old. But you've probably heard the quote before, all things being equal, people do business with people and refer people they know, like, and trust. And that comes out of many of Bob's trainings, but essentially that Go-Giver book. And so, I still go back to that 15 years later, and it's just a little analogy, and it's like probably a 1 hour read at top. But it was such a fundamental shift, I think, back 15 years ago, that it wasn't about go, get, it wasn't so much that as like, how can we raise other people up, and how can we, create that positive sentiment, and how can we create that positive KLT, that know, like, trust in the world. And so that was a big shift, and it just happened to coincide exactly with the birth of social media. And so that's still an inspirational book for me. More recently, Tamara Shank and Byron, can't think of Byron's last name, oops, wrote the Sales Enablement Playbook. And it's such a great, it's not like a fun read, but it's so good for anyone in sales, because it just really breaks down the elements of the modern buyer's journey, the elements of sales, the elements of content and positioning, and being a resource rather than being that irritating person. And how do we enable our sellers to give them the tools that they need to be successful. So it's, like I said, not a fun, light read by any means, but I feel like it's like an essential work. It's essential reading, I think, for anyone who's in business or in sales.
Cool. Your second tip is around how to make the most out of your current content. So how can we reuse it, leverage it?
Yeah, no, that's great. One of the things I would recommend, no matter the size of your company, if you're a solopreneur, with maybe one contractor, or if you're, you've got a multinational company with 500,000 employees, look at the content that you have. And you want to make sure that it matches the buyer's journey, because a lot of people, and we were kind of guilty of this too at Vengresso. We just did this ourselves. But, you. And I'm back. I don't know I don't know if it's my internet or I'm back. You want to make sure that your content isn't just at that top, at that awareness wedge. You need to be following that modern buyer's journey. And this is, again, why I like Tamara's book so much. You want to be following that buyer's journey, not only from awareness, but to consideration, purchasing, upselling, side selling, customer service, referral, so that it's obviously more than the usual 3 wedges, but you need to make sure that you have content that follows that entire modern buyer's journey. And you probably do, but it's not segmented the right way. So whatever platform you use to manage your network, from an Excel sheet to eClincher to whatever you're using, make sure that you're you've got content that your sales force, or you, if you're a solopreneur, can use in every single aspect. And so you're not looking for stuff. You're not making, you're not having to make stuff up on the fly. You've got it there and ready. So whether you're promoting it one to many through an update, through a post, through a blog, through a video, or one-on-one, your salesperson's actually taking that content, maybe through a video, and saying, hey, prospect, I know that you've got this problem. A lot of our, clients have had it as well. You might enjoy this case study, this checklist, this blog post, this video that will show you how to solve that particular issue. Let me know what you think about it. And so you're able to just serve them exactly what they need without coming across as salesy. Again, you're positioning yourself as a resource, not a pushy sales dude or gal.
Beautiful. Before we go to your third CEO tip about how to do
Yeah.
networking in these digital funky times,
Yeah.
we move to the segment we call the Strategy Award.
Strategy Award. That shit crack.
If you could pick
I'm learning so much. I thought I was good with my intro for my LinkedIn Live, but I gotta say, I love your little videos. All right, sorry.
I have a small studio here. We can play around so much. It's so much fun.
It's so cool.
And what was I? If you could pick only one company and they are doing stuff really differently, maybe even awkwardly, as you just experienced, but it is the right thing to do, who would that be?
There's so many. I think about local restaurants who have pivoted, and we can now get our margaritas and a cup to go, right? I think about libraries that are teaching people how to use things like Overdrive. I mean, there's so many great examples. I'm going to go kind of internal, not my company, of course. Of course, we're doing a fabulous job, but no, LinkedIn itself has LinkedIn Learning, which I think a lot of people know about. And they did a really good, and it's always been online, and it's always been online training. And full transparency, I am a LinkedIn Learning author. So from both sides, first of all, the first thing they did, like the second that, March, whatever it was, 12th or whatever it was, that we realized we're going to be home for a while. The first thing they did was open up like tons of courses for free that people could get access to help them cope with what was going on. Job seeking courses, selling courses, and they continued to release courses where people could spend this time managing their businesses with this new knowledge that they got through LinkedIn Learning, but also learning. It was a great opportunity for them to take some time and learn things about themselves. So that's one side of it, that LinkedIn Learning itself did a really nice job of just opening up their library, probably losing millions of dollars, but their whole thing is just to educate and up level people, and this was a perfect way for them to do it. So I love that they did that. Now, I was, of course, scheduled to go out to California and record 2 courses for them in April, which, needless to say, that got canceled. So the other pivot that I think they did really well was turn the whole thing into online. They helped us all build our own. I already had a studio, but they helped a lot of the authors create their own home studios. They created a new way and platform for us to teach and train from home instead of flying out to these magnificent, I'm so bummed that I can't go out there, but these magnificent studios that they had with billions of dollars of sound equipment and sound booths and editors. And they shifted that whole thing again within the matter of about 30 days so that they could keep that content coming. And like I said, on the user side of it, giving that away for free, not all of their content, but a lot of it. And so I thought that was just a really powerful pivot, because that business could have gone I mean, they pride themselves on new, fresh content, and it's always been done at the studios. And so they made that pivot really quickly. So I think that served as a good example on both ends.
Beautiful. CEO tip number 3. In these dark times, how to do networking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who hasn't done a Zoom call by now? One of the things that we've done within our own company, we were doing it before monthly, but now it's like 3 times a week. We have virtual coffee, water cooler rather, coffee clutches, water coolers, whatever you want to call it, which have nothing to do with business. We just open up, our COO opens up a Zoom room, and we can come in and we talk about recipes, and we talk about our dogs, and we talk about our frustrations and our fears. And it's really a cool way, because we've always had a virtual company. We're from the Philippines to Colombia, Bogota, Medellin, to Europe, to Canada, and then our founders are all in the US. And so we've always had this virtual company, but these virtual water coolers have really let us bond, because the other thing our company has done is we got hit in a good way. I mean, we had a lot more people going, teach us how to do things virtually, which was, what we did. And so we've hired a lot of new people, and to really get our company cemented in with each other and get to know each other, these virtual water coolers have been immensely powerful. And so I would absolutely 100% internally, for small companies, medium companies, gigantic companies, please do something for your employees where they can just kind of hang out a little bit. So that's one way of internal networking that I would definitely recommend. And then, of course, we are doing more online. Like I said, all of my conferences that I was supposed to speak at live, they're all online now. So we've got to learn how to, when we're attending those online conferences, like write down the names of course, the speakers, but any other participants, find them on LinkedIn, reach out to them, say, hey, I noticed you were on the sales enablement, summit. You asked a really great question. I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn, and use these different platforms to continue that networking, since we're not doing it face to face anymore.
What about hashtags on LinkedIn? Are they important? Should somebody use them? How many? How to
Yeah.
define them?
Yeah, hashtags are a thing again. It's interesting. They were a thing, and then LinkedIn went, that's for Instagram. And then they went, oh, maybe there's something here. So about, 2017, LinkedIn introduced these hashtag communities. And then about a year later, they're like, we're not going to call them communities anymore, but it still works. So you should be using hashtags on LinkedIn. I recommend 3 to 4 helpful, useful, common hashtags, kind of like keywords. And you can literally do a search in the search bar on LinkedIn. You can do a search, just make sure to use the hashtag for a word that you think might be searched on commonly on LinkedIn, for a keyword, a title, and you can see actually how many people follow that hashtag. So use a couple popular hashtags, and then you because there we go, I'm back again. Because the problem with
You need to repeat the last sentence. So a couple of them should be the popular ones, and the
a
others.
couple of, and the other ones should be unique ones to you. So things like Vengresso Picks, Vengresso, we use Vengresso Picks, Vengresso Event, Vengresso Live, something that is unique, so that you can find your content and see the content. If there's a lot of employees, see content that other employees are sharing. Because when you post on LinkedIn, it's like Twitter, it's like Facebook, it goes on the wall and then it falls down in a way. But if you know that your company is sharing good content and they're using a unique hashtag, you can just search on that unique hashtag, see all the rest of your company's content, and then begin to amplify it. And there is nothing like employee advocacy or employee amplification to really create a wider spread of your brand and your message. So hashtags are really, really popular. Again, the popular, the common ones will help to get, might help to get your content elevated up and above your own network. And the unique ones will help you with employee advocacy and amplification.
Another nerdy question. So if we put a link on a post that goes out, like to YouTube or to your website, we get penalized. What are creative workarounds that you have
Yeah,
seen?
you do kinda. So it's funny because within my own company, we kind of have different ideas about this. I have found when I put the link inside my post, it cuts my views by about 10 to 20%. So yes, it will affect the visibility of your post a little. To me, it is more important that people see that link. I would rather have, 80% of the people seeing that link and jumping through than 100% of the people seeing the post, but only 20% of the people seeing the link in the comments. So the workaround, the hack, if you want to do it that way, which our CEO does, right? The hack to that is just putting the link in comments, making sure it's in comments, making sure it's the first comment. And then while I wouldn't normally recommend this, you want to like your own comment, because the more likes your comment has, the more likely it is to stay on top. Have the rest of your team not only like the post, but like that comment with the link in it. That will keep it up high, because if someone else shares a comment and that comment gets a lot of activity, that link could start dropping down and become invisible. And now you're not driving traffic anywhere. So I just leave the link in the content itself, because it's worth it for me with the, maybe 20% less views to get significantly more people going over to where that content is. But yes, if that is a concern of yours, like it is with our CEO, you can absolutely put it in the content, into the comments field as well.
Did you ever see somebody put it in a picture, like, and in a creative way, in a good way?
Yeah. So one of the things which is kind of cool, when you there's a couple things, different things you can do, but when you're using your mobile device, if you put the link in, it'll actually pull up the image, which is good because that eats more and it makes it a little bit more evident on the in the comments. So yeah, that's a really good point. Using mobile, if you put that link in, it should pull up the meta image, and so it'll make it more visible. So that's definitely something you can do. Yeah, if you're using YouTube and then you embed the link, through I forget what they're called, a card or whatever, you could certainly do that. Although now you got a YouTube link. With native video and with images, you can add text in there. You could add a link in there. It wouldn't be a hyperlink, and then people would have to copy and paste, and they'd have to find it, and that would, again, there are a lot of hacks, but they're not necessarily the best. But yeah, if you're going to put your link in comments and there's an image attached to the link, just get off the desktop and do it on your mobile device.
One thing you changed your mind about recently?
Well, not so recently. I used to be a LinkedIn open networker back until about 2012. Which was someone who would just accept anybody who invited you to connect. There's a couple reasons I'm much, much more discerning about that. One reason is because I have 30,000 connections, and so I can't accept anymore. And it just takes me so much time, and it costs me money to have my personal assistant delete people. So that's one reason. Also, LinkedIn's algorithm has changed. So now LinkedIn cares more about dwell time, i.e. how much time people spend on your post, as compared to a big network. So it doesn't matter if I have 30,000 or 300 people in my network. If that 300 is spending more time on my content, it's a lot more likely to get promoted. And then, by a certain point, especially if you're very strategic about your network, you can always find someone to introduce you to someone you wanted to be introduced to. So I definitely don't think having a gigantic network is just a pain in the butt. I mean, it really is. Somewhere between 500 and probably 3,000 connections is a real healthy, I believe, network. And one of the reasons we pay for Sales Navigator every month is because I can't manage my network the way it is right now. It's just too big. And so using Sales Navigator, I can save my leads and essentially have the cream of the crop up there.
Who should be my next guest on the show?
One of the, there's so many good, I mean, if you want a LinkedIn person, I can give you a LinkedIn person. One of the, I don't know how interested your audience would be, but you might want to reach out to Sue Zimmerman, who's basically the Instagram version of me. She's the queen of Instagram. And she's, for those of you who think Instagram doesn't have a place in your life or in your business, she will prove you absolutely wrong. Plus, she's really fun. So I will introduce you to Sue B. Zimmerman.
Please, I love Instagram, and I'm a big advocate of both TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram, I just love it,
Yeah.
But TikTok, I think it's so under leveraged.
It is,
because not many of us have learned how to use it for business.
My husband is, addicted. Like yeah. Oh my God, it drives me nuts. But here's what I will say: the people who use it well, like there's a chiropractor who uses it really well. There's a doctor who uses it really well. And actually, my friend Michaela Alexis, who you should also have on the show, she's a LinkedIn expert, and she uses it brilliantly. So she's learned how to pull the TikTok videos into LinkedIn, which of course get enormous amount of views because they're fun. And so, yeah, she's amazing. So I'll introduce you to both Sue and Michaela.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. Is there something I forgot to ask you?
Probably, but Lord knows what it is. I've just been talking at you for the past 40 minutes. So.
What's the best way to stay in contact with you?
Yeah, you can always find me on LinkedIn. Just if you Google LinkedIn expert, my LinkedIn profile should be first, second, third thing that shows up after the paid ads. So by all means, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just let me know that you are on Simone's live, I was going to say podcast, but live podcast interview with that you were here, and always customize those invitations to connect. Otherwise, like I said, I'm at my 30,000, so I'll probably just fly on by. But yeah, that's a good way. And I'm old, and my LinkedIn inbox sometimes gets a little full, so you can just email me, Viveka, Viveka. Well, you can see it in my name below there, Viveka at vengresso.com. Yeah, Viveka and Vengresso are both there.
Viveka, thank you so much for all your generous wisdom, and also for having us in your bed, which is
yes,
how this is the way we network today.
We do what we have to do.
Thank you so much. Come back soon.
I will. Thanks. Bye-bye, everyone.